Hey everyone. I was going through and I was doing some research on Bill Cooper's Mystery Babylon series, and I was going through and I was taking the parts that Bill Cooper would debunk the mystery school religion, like the ideas of Zeitgeist and Jordan Maxwell and Michael Tsarian, and I was putting it all in a separate file, which I'll provide as a podcast later. But Bill Cooper was very, very against that idea, but some people think that he was for it because what he would do is he would read books from people like Manly P. Hall or Albert Pike or Alice Bailey or something, but he was really good at reading these books, so sometimes it sounded like that's what he was saying. And so what Bill Cooper would do, and you know this if you're listened to the Mystery Babylon series or any of Bill Cooper, that he would always stop and say, remember, this is not what I believe, this is what they believe. So as I was sitting down listening, I came across this one part where it sounded like Bill Cooper was reading, but he never said that he was reading from any particular author. So I Googled it and found out that he was reading verbatim from one of Jordan Maxwell's books called That Old Time Religion. Except what's interesting is that Bill Cooper was reading it in the same way he would read from Manly P. Hall or Albert Pike, and he would stop and say, this is what they believe. The mystery school religions. In fact, Jordan Maxwell was friends with Manly P. Hall. Here's him saying that.
Manly Palmer Hall, one of my very good friends, said in one of his lectures.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this audio from Bill Cooper, and we're going to show how William Cooper was literally calling out Jordan Maxwell's belief as being a part of the mystery school. And we're also going to debunk the idea that Jordan Maxwell was only trying to show us what the mystery schools believed, which he never once stated, and in fact states the direct opposite. And Bill Cooper will point that out, and there will be no mistaking there. We're also going to go through the interview that Bill Cooper did with Jordan Maxwell and show that it was not only the first time that they had ever met, but that Jordan Maxwell thought that he could get away with saying his usual spiel to Bill Cooper, but Bill Cooper stopped him in his tracks, and then they changed the subject. It's very interesting. One more thing before we get into the meat of this. I'm sorry for taking so long. But this is really complicated, and you need to understand what Bill Cooper's position was, as far as I can understand. He believed that the ancient mystery schools at about 150 A.D., that is after Jesus Christ, 150 years, they merged their ancient worship of the sun, which was not really worshiping the sun per se, but worshiping what the sun represented, which to them was primordial knowing or Lucifer or something like that. So anyway, about 150 A.D., after Christianity was spreading like wildfire, they took the real history of what had happened 150 years before and merged it with their sun worship. And so you have authors like Plutarch who were initiated into the ancient mystery school religion at about 150 A.D., writing books like Parallel Lives, which began this whole thing about Freemasonry and everybody else having this story that sounds a lot like Christianity. And that's what Gnosticism and the Catholic Church and all that is today. This version of the mystery school religion that was merged with Christianity, which they couldn't control, at about 150 A.D. And here's Bill Cooper kind of saying it right here.
Nearly all writers attempting an interpretation of the Osirian cycle have recourse to Plutarch. It has seemingly never occurred to Egyptologists that this eminent priest of Delphi might have purposely confused or distorted the fable, or, if not that, might certainly have misdirected the attention of the reader from relevant to irrelevant explanations. Two factors must certainly be taken into consideration when reading Plutarch. First, he was an initiated priest of the mysteries.
Okay, now follow along on the screen as Bill Cooper reads verbatim from Jordan Maxwell's book, That Old Time Religion. And the most crucial part is to look and notice where Bill Cooper is actually adding his own commentary to what he is reading. Okay, here we go.
Here we note another cleverly disguised part of the whole, according to the mystery school, misunderstood and plagiarized story. For they believe that Christianity is a perversion of the mysteries, and that's why they hate Christians.
Sorry, we're just getting started. There's so much more of these to go through, but I wanted to point out right up front what Bill Cooper was saying here. obviously he's stopping where Jordan Maxwell, and you'll see this over and over and over again, where Jordan Maxwell says this is true fact, Bill Cooper keeps stopping and says this is what the mystery schools believe. Now we'll look into that in more detail here in a second, but I also wanted you to notice that Bill Cooper says right there, this is why the mystery schools hate Christianity, is because they think that Christianity stole their religion from the ancient Egyptian, and that's what the whole truth movement thinks too. But really what happened was this ancient Egyptian religion in 150 AD stole the Christian religion, and that's Bill Cooper's point. So you need to understand why he just said that before we can really understand what's going on in these many, many cases of him calling out Jordan Maxwell.
The next point to be made requires first a little background. Christians have always referred to God as the Father. But viewing God as a father didn't start here. It goes back far into the ancient world. The reason is, according to the mystery religion, our planet was always viewed as our Mother Earth, our Mother Nature, and that's where all this Mother Earth and Earth Goddess comes from in the New Age movement. And since rain, the life-bringing fluid, or the semen, falling from heaven, impregnated and brought life to Mother Earth, it was therefore believed that our Father was in heaven. And so the New Testament story was, Mother Earth asked God's Son to draw water from the sea for the grapes to make fine wine for the wedding feast. And this marriage feast story is over 5,000 years old, 3,000 years before the New Testament story. And the mystery schools believe it is just one more case of pious plagiarism.
Okay, there is a lot more, and we'll get to them in a second, but I just wanted to point this out because this is a classic example. What does Jordan Maxwell say? He says, 3,000 years before the New Testament story was retold. Just one more case of pious plagiarism. Now, what does Bill Cooper say? 3,000 years before the New Testament story was retold, the mystery schools believe this is just one more case of pious plagiarism. So Maxwell is telling us this is real history, and Bill Cooper is telling us this is what the Freemasons believe history is. So before we go any further, I want to debunk the idea that people will often say, which is Jordan Maxwell was just trying to show us what the ancient mystery schools believed. He wasn't trying to say this is real, he was only trying to say this is what they believe. But if you read through this book or see any Jordan Maxwell presentation, you will continually see this is not the case. Jordan Maxwell tells us that the roots of Christianity and Judaism are to be found in Egypt. He says that point blank over and over and over again. I have never heard him say the opposite of that. In fact, the name of this book is called That Old Time Religion, The Story of Religious Foundations. And in case there's any more doubt that Jordan Maxwell was actually trying to debunk Christianity by saying that it was based on Egyptian religions and not pointing out that it's what the mystery schools believed, read the back of the book. It says, this book proves there is nothing new under the sun regarding many of our modern religious beliefs. This includes Christianity, and how many of its beliefs could be far older than what we have suspected. It gives a complete rundown of the stellar, lunar, and solar evolution of our religious systems and contains new, long-awaited, exhaustive research on the gods and on our beliefs. The book's central theme, the origin of religions, centers around the work of Jordan Maxwell. Mr. Maxwell has become widely known as one of the world's foremost experts on early mythological systems and their influence on both ancient and modern religions. He continually surprises the reader with factual evidence on where our modern beliefs really came from. Okay. So that should show you that Bill Cooper and Jordan Maxwell are on the opposite sides of the fence trying to prove two absolutely different things. So let's continue and listen to Bill Cooper's reading of Jordan Maxwell's work.
Though the story varied in some details from place to place in Egypt, the essence was always the same. God's Son, spelled S-U-N, our risen Savior, was the light of the world, who gave his life for us. Now remember, this is according to the belief of the mystery religion of Babylon. These